I quit trading for 9 months and I regretted that decision. If you don't know who I am, my name's Moby. I've been trading for the past 6 years in the markets. In my second year, that's where I quit trading and I got right back into it in my third year. And I finally got to see some success when I got right back into it. But I want to explain to you the transition of me quitting, why I quit, and why I got right back into the markets, and why I believe that that decision of me quitting was the worst decision of my life. So if I had to take you back to my second year of trading, I quit trading because I made a lot of decisions in my life which didn't turn out well at the beginning. I was in university, I didn't have a job. So when I was trading, I didn't have that financial pressure because I didn't have any overheads. As soon as I left university, I ended up moving out to my parents' house. I have bills to pay, and I thought trading would be easy enough for me to make money. Especially during university, I made a lot of money in the markets and I was making up to £1,000 a day in the markets, which was super great. But as soon as I left university, didn't have a job, that pressure activated. I had to make trading work. And because of that pressure, I isolated myself from all my friends, I isolated myself from my family, and I needed to make this work. And every time I used to speak to people about trading, it was always negative and it wasn't great. It didn't feel good. And because no one understood my trading, it was very hard for me to resonate with other people. So when I was going through those lows, those low periods, I had no support. I had no one to speak to. I had no one to kind of have a conversation with to make me feel a little bit better, and I didn't have any guidance. So I'm a 20-year-old trying to live an adult life who just started adulthood. It was very difficult and it felt like I was taking that leap of faith a little bit too early. Now, because I had bills to pay and because trading wasn't working at that moment of time, I was making careless mistakes. I was over leveraging my account. I was trying to make such a small account pay me something quite substantial. And because of that, I noticed that I wasn't making any progress. And every loss I made, I felt stupid. I felt dumb. I felt like, what the hell is going on? And every time I took a loss, that self-doubt increased. And that self-doubt increasing made me think that this is just not going to work anymore. This situation that I'm in, trading is just a scam. Every YouTuber I've watched, I just felt like they've done something else, or maybe it just won't click for me. Before I was in that situation, I really enjoyed trading. I enjoyed it to the point where even when I did take losses, I just kept going. I really enjoyed the market. I really enjoyed learning. I really enjoyed executing. But for some reason, during that period of time when I was at the lowest point of my life, I genuinely just hated the markets. I wanted to make money somewhere else. So this is where I made that decision. I ended up quitting the markets, quitting trading, and I started hunting for other things. And this is where social media took a huge part in my life. So I'm now watching YouTube, watching all these other YouTubers with different occupations, SMMA, agency works, freelancing, and that made me feel attracted to those occupations. But this is a key thing that I would say I didn't realize at the time, but I realized the only reason why I felt attracted to those occupations or those side hustles is because of the monetary gain. And this is something that we don't actually realize until we step back from that situation. So I'm out here, 20 years old, chasing money and doing the wrong things and not actually focusing on what I truly enjoy. I truly enjoy trading. I truly enjoyed the markets. I really enjoyed learning and executing and researching, and I even enjoyed watching other YouTubers trade. That used to be on my feed every single day. I would be on YouTube and the first thing that will pop up is traders. New traders, old traders, traders that I enjoy. But now I'm changing course. I'm trying out new things. I'm trying out new methods. So I'm learning these new skills. I'm reading new books. I'm watching other people make a lot of money in these occupations, but I'm not making money. So I ended up trying SMMA. I spoke to a couple of my friends. I said, hey, I want to help you with your social media. Just, I'll do it for free. I didn't know how to sell. I'm not good at sales. And so I started something off that I had no skills in. Bearing in mind, I had a skill in trading. Trading did work. It's just that period of time where I had pressure, it didn't work at that moment. So I'm trying these things, but my heart just didn't feel like it was working. My heart did not feel that desire for SMMA e-commerce, drop shipping. And I tried all these different things. And in a span of 9 months, I tried 3-4 different things. I remember sitting down watching my old YouTube videos that I created of me documenting my journey as a trader. And I was watching these videos and I sat down and I remember just thinking how much I enjoyed trading and how stressful learning these new skills was. So I took that very, very difficult decision where my ego did not want to go back to, and I decided to go back to trading. Now let me explain to you what happened when I decided to go back to trading, because it wasn't just a fruitful journey. This was probably even harder than where I was previously. So when I first got back into the markets, I thought things would be as easy as it was 9 months ago. I thought, you know what, that low period was just a phase. I'm working a 9 to 5 now. This should be great. This should be a little bit more easier. It wasn't. It was a lot more difficult. And because I didn't accept the past, I was living in this facade that life is going to be great if I just continue doing what I'm doing. Again, going back to those old habits, revenge trading, over trading, and trying to see huge outcomes out of such a small investment. This was probably the most difficult points in my life. Again, I'm self-doubting. Again, I'm isolating. I haven't spoken to any of my friends. I haven't spoken to my family. I'm doubting myself. And I feel dumb every time I take a loss. I feel like every time I take a loss, I'm taking a step back from trading again. But this time, I told myself, I am not going to quit. I am not going to do what I did in the last 9 months. So instead, I genuinely focused on the skill set. I said to myself, I do not care about the money right now. I work a 9 to 5. I am going to focus on the skill set of trading. And I think this was the turning point for me. For me, it wasn't about making money in the markets. It was generally to be good at trading. And I understood that to be good at trading will make me a ton load of money. So I separated money to trading, and I focused on actually becoming good at trading. So I deposited around $500 into markets, and I said to myself, I'm not going to blow this account. This is the final time I'm going to even invest, and I'm only going to risk only 1% in this account, and I'm going to see how this turns out. This was probably the best decision I've made ever in my life, and I regret actually quitting in the first time because I think I would have got to that point eventually. I ended up learning trading, trying out different things, watching YouTube videos, and I learned 3 magical concepts that has changed my life forever. And these concepts genuinely changed my life. And I made trading so simple that now I look back and I feel like I should have never overcomplicated my trading. And it's so easy to look back now and feel like, hey, like you should have never overcomplicated. Things should have stayed the way it should have stayed, and you should have just stuck to your strategy. And it's funny, I did a full circle moment where every time I tried new things in the markets, I always went back to the original system that I was using. So 3 years now into the markets, I'm going back to my first year of what I was using. Keeping it simple, keeping things great. I then became good at trading and I heavily invested. Still working a 9 to 5, by the way. So trading wasn't my full time. So a year goes by now and I finally was able to get to a point where I invested enough into the markets where I finally was able to leave my job. And I told myself, I'm going to leave this job, and whatever happens in the markets, I'm going to be great. And this is exactly this point I wanted to be at. It took me 4 years to get to that point. But I can tell you right now, looking back at my journey, I genuinely did not take trading seriously in my first 2 years. And the reason why I say this is because I took that decision to leave the markets. I took that decision to try something else because I felt like there was a shinier object in other revenues. I tried different methods to make money. I don't want you to try. And if you genuinely have passion in the markets and you genuinely have passion to trade, this is my video for you. This is a sign for you to not quit. Eventually it will work. I just didn't realize that every time I decided to try something new, I reset the clock and I reset my time in this journey. Every time I started something new, my journey has taken a stop and the clock has restarted. It took me 4 years, not because of how long it takes genuinely to become good at the markets. I think it will take around maybe 90 days to genuinely change your life in the markets. And the reason why I say this, I'll explain to you in a bit. But 4 years to actually understand that you shouldn't quit. That was what the turning point was for my trading. And the reason why I say that it could take you 90 days to become a better trader is because during that 4th year, it took me 90 days to make my first £10,000 in the markets. One of the best 3 months of my life. And it happened so fast, I surpassed that £10,000 mark. And I was able to hit 15, 20,000 within those 3 months. And it was the best feeling ever. From working a 9 to 5, making around just under £24,000 a year, to now doing that in 1 quarter was crazy for me. And after those 90 days, it genuinely changed my life. So if you're watching this video and you genuinely are doubting yourself, if you're doubting your trading, if you're isolated and you don't have anyone to speak to, please resonate from me and don't make the mistake I made. I genuinely regret it. I regret doing those things and I have accepted that. But there's always some parts of my body thinking, what if I didn't quit? And I don't want you to live with what if. I want you to live with, I continued, I did it. Because there is always light at the end of the tunnel and you just got to keep pushing. As easy as it sounds, I understand life can get very, very difficult. And sometimes you might have to lower the volume of trading and increase the volume of external things like a 9 to 5 or just doing something else on the sidelines. But you should always stick to what you believe in and stick to what you desire in. And for me, that was trading. It wasn't SMMA, it wasn't e-commerce, it wasn't dropshipping. It was trading, and that's where I found love, and that's where I found the love for the market and the love for the craft. And I felt like I betrayed that. And because of that, I never was able to achieve other things from other revenues.